why are we gaining excess weight? And the answer is very simple. It's because of our lifestyle. And our lifestyle comprises of a number of components. And the first component is good nutrition, whereby we are supposed to make sure that we cut down or we avoid, refined foods that are known to contain a lot of sugar. In fact, excess sugar is usually, converted into fat, and that increases the risk of lifestyle diseases. We also need to make sure that we cut down our intake of foods that are known to contain a lot of sodium and saturated fats, and we are supposed to ensure that we embrace a diet that focuses more on the fruits and vegetables and whole grains. And of course, we also need to ensure that our diet answers the following 3 questions the right way. What are we taking? That's the first question. Number 2 is how are we taking our foods, and number 3 is when are we taking our foods. Apart from a good nutrition, we also need to make sure that we engage in moderate forms of exercise. And when we talk about moderate forms of exercise, I mean some of us engage in vigorous forms of exercise. Sometimes we might be having conditions like hypertension, and if you engage in vigorous forms of exercise, of course your condition might actually be worse. Now when we talk about exercise, you can actually engage in simple forms of exercise like walking. You can actually try climbing stairs. You can actually try swimming. Swimming is actually one of the best forms of exercise. You can try rope skipping, that is if your weight is not above 100 or 90 or 80 etc. But exercise is very important because it actually breaks down the excess calories that we might actually get from our foods. Apart from exercise, we also need to make sure that we actually keen in terms of stress management, because stress is the other factor that actually increases the risk of lifestyle diseases, whereby some people get cravings when they're actually stressed. For example, I've seen people take a lot of processed foods when they are stressed. That is how they react. And of course, such people are likely to gain excess weight, and of course that actually increases the risk of getting lifestyle diseases. The best way we can actually define cravings is actually the way the body cries for nutrients, and the moment you start getting cravings, your body is simply telling you that you're lacking certain nutrients. And of course, as professionals, we can always assist you in terms of addressing some of the nutrients that you actually need. You also need to ensure that apart from stress management, we are getting rest. Because rest is very important, because it plays a key role when it comes to our metabolism rate. When you talk about rest, it's very important for us to ensure that we don't just focus on the quantity of the rest. We also need to focus on the quality of the rest, because some of us might be getting the 6 to 8 hours of sleep at night, but of course the quality is not that good, and in the process, of course, we might still be affected. Apart from sleep, we also need to make sure that we cut down our alcohol intake. Now, studies have shown that alcohol actually affects nutrient absorption. It also affects our liver. Alcohol dehydrates your body, and therefore what you need to do is to increase your water intake whenever you take alcohol, and make sure that you don't take alcohol on an empty stomach, because that actually tends to increase the rate of alcohol absorption. When you talk about weight management, it's important for us to understand that we are not just focusing on excessive weight gain. There are some of us who are underweight, and we are supposed to gain some weight. And some of the challenges people underweight face include lack of appetite, to the point whereby they are not able to take all their meals. There are some of us who might be having good appetite, but our weight is still on the lower side. And one of the challenges would be issues to do with the frequency of your meals. And therefore, if you want to gain weight, we need to understand that weight gain is an equation of your energy intake and your energy expenditure. When your expenditure is actually more than the intake, usually the weight comes down, and therefore, for you to increase weight, you need to ensure that your energy intake is actually more than your energy expenditure. How do you do that? By ensuring that your appetite is good, and number 2, by making sure that you are not skipping most of your meals. And of course, by doing that, your weight will actually start increasing, and in the process, your BMI is actually going to be within the recommended range.